We had a different name. You came in this place? Bullet.
That's my paper. I'd rather not.
First item on the agenda, and all of you have agendas on your seat, so you can follow along and look forward to whatever it comes next. I'm going to start with the introductions. The first name on my list, according to seniority, is Honorable Senator Blumenthal. He told us that he won't be here till 11:30, so we're saving this seat for him, and he will come in the middle of the program and do his address when the time comes. We have Honorable Congressman Representative Joe Courtney from the 2nd District sitting up front here. From Orbital ATK, we have Mark Olson, Supply Chain Management. Craig Brassfield. Bob Garner. And Jennifer Bowman. So take your pictures and send us to them so that we can post them. Right, Jennifer? From NASA, we have Kendall Junen. From Lockheed Martin, we have Captain Butch Wilmore.
I'm not from Lockheed Martin. I am NASA, so. And I'm not retired yet either. That says retired. I'm still Navy for another 27 days. So.
From Marshall Space Center, Doug Thomas. Congressional staff, we have Tyja Anderson. From ULA, Charles Boots. Is he here again? No. From DCMA, we have Carl Kulbaski, manager. Government QAR, Mike Laro. Who's a resident QAR here. And then we're very, very happy to have the founder, one of the co-founders of BST, Tom Teeter. We have some media representatives here. We have Seth Bentrump, who is photography. We have John Penny. What was Brian? Brian Haverbeck? Yes. Okay. All right. We're also expecting this coffee from the partner. All right. So whenever she comes. So the next item on the agenda, Brian, can you go give you a little bit of BST overview? It's a 30-year-old business that Tom and Mr. Solis founded 33 years ago here to make high energy batteries, specializing in silver zinc. It was at that time that many of the space programs needed a high energy lightweight battery, and silver zinc was the only choice at that time for providing the power to the rockets and the different spacecraft. We have a very proud legacy of providing high quality batteries to the space program. And here are 2 awards that we won. That's the one shown there, and one here, one for manned program, one for unmanned programs. We're also the best supplier to the U.S. Navy. We've very proven engineering capability here at present. We're qualifying 5 batteries for different aerospace programs. AS91,000C, and we registered. Kevin, have qualified our processes to several NASA standards, and we also are qualified for the aerospace quality standard. We are pursuing some contract manufacturing opportunities because we have a strong manufacturing base, and the aerospace and defense business goes up and down, and we want something to smooth it out, so we're looking for those kinds of opportunities. At the same time, we're pursuing R&D, some through internal programs, the INET programs, some through SBIR. We are developing a smart sealed silver zinc cell for the Navy applications. I'll talk to you about that towards the end. And we're also developing lithium-ion batteries for aerospace applications. So we can offer our customers both silver zinc and lithium-ion. There's always controversy about lithium-ion, but it still is a good battery and can manage it. It will work well. And once we have these developed, we're striving to have those placed in different applications. Right, next. So these are the different aerospace applications we are on, or have been on. We provide rocket boosters, solid rocket boosters. You know, the space launch systems, which is the center of today's event. We also make batteries for the Minuteman 3, where they send out test launches with wafers, and our batteries power all of the data collection of the wafer, plus some of the other functions. And then we're qualifying 2 batteries for the Atlas program. Our silver zinc batteries are used for large vehicles and missiles. They provide functional power for avionics, telemetry, GPS, monitoring stuff. The platforms, you saw some of them already. And we have qualified batteries for range safety requirements. Those of you who are involved in aerospace programs know how difficult it is to get something past through range safety. So that's really a badge of honor. We also provided batteries in the past to the Extravehicular Mobility Unit EMU. We provided the cells that Hamilton Sunstrand put in the spacesuit battery pack. And internet research shows that we still have the longest spacewalk powered by our batteries of 8 hours and 51 minutes. The next longest was 8 hours and 17 minutes. So we still have a 34-minute cushion. In addition, we're developing lithium-ion batteries for flight termination and pyrotechnics using lithium-ion ion. Next. So in the undersea applications, in the past, we provided batteries for the Deep Submergence Rescue Vehicle and the Advanced Seal Delivery System. This platform converted to lithium-ion back in 2007, and in 2009, there was a problem with that lithium-ion battery and the vehicle burned up. So that's no longer available. Today, we're providing batteries and cells for that, powering the seal delivery vehicle and the shallow water combat submersible, which is going to replace the seal delivery vehicle over time. So we are supplying batteries for those, and we make the missions for seals possible. Next. So the seal delivery vehicles use 120 cells on board, and they buy 30 spares, so that that one set can go for 15 months. 5 years ago, we started supplying batteries for that. And after having provided 12,900 cells on a contract between 2011 and 14, what the seals are finding is our batteries last 24 months instead of 15 months, which is a requirement. So they're buying less batteries from us. And they're not using any space with our batteries. It's even more cells that they're buying. So we've asked them to kind of consider some kind of a post-award incentive. If our batteries last longer, share some of the cost savings with us, but they're not listening yet. But we need your help. Next. So this is the smart seal super zinc cells. We're developing the advantages of that accrue only to the Navy applications right now. The aerospace applications are one shot. There's not much service life involved, so it's not directly applicable to you. But what it does in the submarine is we have some innovations that automatically manage gas, so hydrogen doesn't come out of the cells, which then allows you to charge the battery while it's in the vehicle. Now, our legacy vehicles like the SDV and even the SWIC do not have the capability to charge batteries in situ, but the newer vehicles that will be developed, that will be a requirement. We're getting ready for that. In today's vehicle, they bring the battery out every time and charge it on the bench and then put it back in. Sometimes they have extra batteries. If the mission tempo is such that they need batteries rapidly, and they'll have one charge and ready and change it out, and then while the mission is going on, this one gets charged. So they do that. But with our batteries, we can charge it in situ. Obviously, when you have a rapid tempo, you don't have that ability, and then they will have to change that. But our new technology will be improved cycle capacity retention. We will do everything here and ship it out, so all the value will be added here. And so now we need to find the time. Thanks. So we're very proud of our role in this program that we are here to celebrate today. What we did, we adapted a battery. I believe this is the one that was on the solid rocket booster for the space shuttle, ruggedized it to use on the solid rocket booster of the Space Launch System, or SLS. We thank you, Orbital, for giving us this opportunity, and we look forward to more platforms. Have to get that in. We also thank especially the 3 members of our congressional delegation, because they have supported every time we as a industry group have gone on and asked them for support on the budget for the SLS Orion program. All 3 of them have supported us, and we thank you. That's my presentation, and next. Right.
Morning, I'm Kenneth Avery. I'm the SLS Booster Controls Manager. I reside at the Marshall Space Flight Center.
Keep it on the line. Sorry.
And I've got a nice overview presentation with lots of cool videos, so I'll try not to talk too much. Let's kind of kick it off with a slide.
Next slide.
Hopefully the sound bars will. This is pretty cool.
Get one of them, anyway.
Mike.
All right.
Hey, it was work.
Turn up a little loud.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, I'm at the line.
That's all I've got. What's neat about some of those views is they were created from actual imaging that was on shuttle. If you remember, one of the views was looking down the booster. Those were actual cameras that we had on the shuttle. Next slide. I'm not sure what comes next. Okay, so this is kind of the overview of what the nation's trying to do, and we've been working around in low Earth orbit, and now it's time to explore. And so the rockets that we're building and the spacecraft that Johnson's building is going to enable us to go out of low Earth orbit and explore beyond the moon to hopefully Mars. I mean, that's the goal ultimately. And so we're building the rockets that will give us that lift capability. And we're leveraging off of proven propulsion technology. Next slide. Excuse me. So this is kind of the major parts of the rocket that we're building today, which internally we call Block 1. And it uses, as I said, some proven technologies such as the RS-25 engines. We used to call those the SSMEs, or Space Shuttle Main Engines. They're going to be upgraded with a new controller, and we're going to get actually more thrust out of them and certify them for higher power levels. The solid rocket boosters are leveraged off of the shuttle boosters. They're 5 segment instead of 4 segment, and these cake mix guys did a bunch of reformulation to change the thrust profiles. The core stage is new. It's the color and everything might remind you of ET. It's the same diameter as the external tank, but it's much larger. It's feeding 4 engines instead of 3 on the shuttle. There's some stage adapters. The first version of this rocket is using a second stage to help propel the spacecraft to the moon. Later versions, and I'll show you a picture, will have a larger upper stage to help us lift more and to go out further. Next slide. And then, of course, we have Orion on top, the most important one. So here's some of the variations of the rocket. Block 1, as we call it, is what's being built today. And then later versions, they're going to add an upper stage for both crewed and uncrewed. And then eventually, we'll get up to 130 metric ton lift capability with both advanced boosters. And that's not really defined yet, but that's the performance goal for the rocket. Those are big. Saturn was 363. And that later version over there has a lot more lift capability. So those are big, big rockets. So we'll kind of go through each one of the major elements of the rocket. The first is the booster, which is what we work on. And these are the largest solid rocket boosters in the world, and produce, 3.6 million pounds of thrust each. And I think we have a video. Let's try the next slide. Here we go. Here's the booster. And what we're going to see is actual manufacturing of the qualification motor that we call QM2, which was hot, cold. Hot, cold. Sure, one of those. It was cold. It was cold because we did it in the summertime, and the hot ones we do in the wintertime, right? Sure, I'm sure there is. So this is in Utah, this is Desphande, and all the birds are really going fast right now. So that's a code plug, a throat plug that is blown out. And then I wish we had better sound on this. So you can see the nozzle vectoring. The boosters provide about 80% of the control authority during the first 2 minutes of flight for the vehicle. And that's one of the systems I'm responsible for. So that's impressive. You know, when you see a launch, you hear it and then it goes away. When you see one of these tests, it stays there, and you really get a sense of the power that's coming out of those things. Next.
For BST associates, Zoe attended this event, right? Zoe?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, now we'll talk about the engines. These are heritage engines. We typically test these down at Stennis Space Center, Mississippi. Next slide. So that's the official designation. We used to always call it the Space Shuttle main engine. But here, one's being lifted up into the test stand. These are incredible engines. They produce, in vacuum, which is what they're designed for, they produce over 500,000 pounds of thrust each. And they burn liquid oxygen and hydrogen, so they make steam, which is nice and green. So cryogenically fueled rocket engines, very complex, amazing, probably the most reliable engine that we've ever had. No failures in flight of this engine. 135 shuttle missions. Okay, now we get to the really new part of the vehicle, which is the core. And what you're seeing here is the hydrogen tank. This is being built down in Mississippi at Louisiana. Where's the map? We shoot. Next slide, I think we start the largest stage ever built. So that's the oxygen tank, which is on top, and then the hydrogen tanks below it. And there's also in between a section called the inner tank, and then on the bottom, this is a vertical welding. Yeah, it is amazing. And the tolerances required for this friction stir welding process are just amazing. This is the thrust, aft thrust structure called the engine section. So it has to react all the thrust from the engines. It'll have the main propulsion system plumbing inside it. Next slide. So this is the Block 1 second stage, which uses a Heritage, I believe it's Delta ICPS. We have a section of structure to adapt from the 27.5-foot diameter core to this smaller stage, and then you've got the Orion spacecraft and its necessary parts. We actually have another slide on Orion above it. Marshall is doing some of this work in Huntsville with Teledyne Brown. Here in Connecticut, we've got 25 vendors that support SLS. So it's really across the country. We've actually got a slide that shows, I think it's 43 states are supporting SLS and Orion and our sister program at KSC. Next slide. So this is, at Marshall, we're going to be mating all those pieces you just saw and doing some structural testing to make sure that we have adequate margins for the loads that the system is going to see in flight. Next slide. Kind of what we've been doing. We've been very busy, but the time for pencil work has been put away, and we are building and testing hardware. And EM1, or first flight as we call it, that hardware is being built, and as you guys know, we're qualifying batteries right now as we speak here. So we're in a very critical part, and very soon, next year, we'll actually start assembling things down at Kennedy. So it's real. Real hardware is being built. This thing is going to fly. So here's all the states that are part of the SLS and KSC and Orion programs. There are 43 states. I think there's over 70 companies in Connecticut that are supporting the two programs. SLS, I believe, it's 25. But it's a nationwide effort. I think there's over 25,000 people working on SLS today. So it's a national endeavor. Next slide. There's a great video out there on YouTube. If you do a search for Dr. Tyson, he was at Buffalo University, and somebody asked him a question. He used the opportunity to talk about NASA and why NASA is important, and how NASA is a spark for the younger generations. And it's interesting, if you talk to most engineers and scientists today that are working in the STEM fields, so many of them say that Apollo is what inspired them to go into STEM. And that's what we're trying to do. When you talk about what are the intangibles, why is SLS important? That's one of the intangibles. And no civilization succeeds without technology. So it's a big driver for this. Next. So we do have 3 programs. and we'll talk about, well, at KSC, they've built.
The new mission is quite a bit different than the shuttle mission. The next mission is to go beyond Earth.
It's amazing. We've been stuck in low orbit for so long. The thought of going beyond is just really cool. And when you think about what guys like Butch and the rest of the astronauts have been doing, learning how to live in space for extended periods of time, pushing out beyond the moon, it's really exciting. And you guys are a part of that. We can't launch without you guys. We have no power without you guys. So we provide all the power on the boosters, and we really thank you. And that's all I got.
Time for Congressman Courtney to address the associate.
Thank you, Sanjay. And just remind me next time. I do not have a power. I don't have movies. You know, they're probably glad because the 30-second TV spots are people all sort of ready for those to come to an end in about 5 days. So, you know, but anyway, first of all, I want to thank Sanjay and the town for the opportunity to come by and visit again. And you know, this is just really one of the most interesting, small Eastern Connecticut companies that sometimes doesn't quite get the recognition it deserves. Again, I go way back with when Max was here, used to come and spend the first 10 minutes with him barking at me about everything I was doing wrong, and then we'd have a great visit. So, you know, again, Sanjay did a nice overview of really the history of the company and you know, the incredible cutting-edge innovation that happens here. That sometimes, again, I think it surprises people to know that it's all happening. And obviously, you know, the undersea sector is a big one in Eastern Connecticut. We just had the First Lady in Groton just past Saturday, and Admiral Richardson, CNO, was there. And you know, it's a very proud heritage and tradition. But obviously, BST is doing not only in the undersea realm, but also in outer space. And you might think, well, you know, how can one company, you know, sort of do both at the same time? When you think about it, these are platforms that exist in an environment that does not sustain human life. And so if you get one of them right, it actually is very applicable to the other. And but as the folks here know, and certainly Captain Wilmore knows better than anyone else, the margin for error is zero. And so that's why, you know, the precision and excellence, which these awards represent, you know, really, again, it's not even optional. It has to be that way in order for these platforms to succeed. So, you know, I want to say to Oracle, thank you and congratulations that you made a really smart choice by, you know, having BST be one of your partners. And again, we have a team, as Sanjay said, that is in Washington, you know, on standby to do everything we possibly can to further both your goals and mission, and certainly this great company. And if you look closely at some of the acronyms in this presentation, whether it's SBIR, again, some of the other vendors that are the federal government, we finally pushed out the R&D tax credit, made it permanent, so that, again, you have a clear horizon for all the investment in terms of innovation. You know, we want to make sure that that partnership just maximizes every bit of growth and opportunity that's here. Governor Bill O'Neill, some of you may remember, I'm old enough to, you know, hailed from Eastern Connecticut, but he used to say, you know, Connecticut's never a state that's ever going to drill for oil or mine coal. You know, we're going to succeed because of what's between our ears. And And this company is a perfect example of that because of the secret sauce is the workforce that's here. You guys bring skill and talent that allow this success to happen, and obviously it has a multiplier effect in the region. That is something that at the end of the day, that's what people get up in the morning and think about in terms of their future and their family's future. So again, thank you for all the great work that you do here, and again, congratulations to your team for this exciting announcement.
We have several employees here who have been with for more than 25 years. So they bring the continuity, and there are some younger ones that have joined. I do not have Senator Blumenthal here yet. He's on the agenda. But we'll go ahead and start with Captain Blumenthal. Absolutely.
Thank you. Outstanding. Thank you. So I got a phone call on Monday morning. It said, Butch, we've had some things happen. Wonder if you're available this week. I said, Fred Bradfield was the guy that called me. That's who it was. And I worked my schedule and I was able to get here. Shortly after I said I could make it, I got an email from Charlie Precourt. Charlie Precourt is the former chief of the astronaut office, shuttle commander. He sends me and said, Butch, so glad you could do that. My schedule, I was trying to go, I couldn't go. And then I got an email from Kent Rominger, who was a former chief of the astronaut office, shuttle commander. He says, Butch, thank you for doing this. I couldn't work my schedule. I couldn't do that. And also Brian Duffy, a former shuttle commander, couldn't make it. So I'm flying up here, and I get off my connecting flight at BWI, and I get off the flight, and there is Doc Horowitz standing there, former shuttle commander. And he says, Butch, where are you heading? I said, well, we're going up to Connecticut to BST Systems. They make batteries for the shuttle. They did, and of course for the SLS, and also for our spacewalking suits. He said, yeah, I got asked to do that. I couldn't work it in my schedule. So I want y'all to know that I am thrilled to be here. I'm sorry you have to put up with me, but I am happy to be here. There's several things I wanted to share with you. 14 years as I'm still active duty Navy. I'll retire in December with 30 years. And I am grateful for my opportunity to serve my country in the fashion I've been able to do it. 14 years as a fleet aviator. I did 4 deployments on aircraft carriers. And I can tell you, I went to the flight deck every time I went up, and I would see United States of America across the side of my A7 or F-18 that I was flying, and I was proud to be there. Because, an airplane, we kind of give these things life, like space shuttles, like they have life. They don't, right? They're bent metal. They're bent into shapes, right? And they have systems in them that work because they're bent and put in those positions, and there's technology in them that people do, right? Let me tell you the proudest moment, by far the proudest moment of my professional career. Everything I've had the opportunity to share and do. Launch day, November 16, 2009, Space Shuttle. I've been training as a pilot of STS-129, and we go to the launch pad. When you go to the launch pad, the external tank has been fueled with cryogenic super cold hydrogen that is now, because it's so cold it's in a liquid state, and oxygen is so cold it's in a liquid state, and it's not the safest place to be. So you go to the launch pad. Remember those guys in white suits that would strap the guys in and strap the astronauts into the capsule? Closeout crew members. There's 7 of them there. And then there's the crew. For us that day, there were 6 crew members and the bus driver. Nobody else is on the pad. Nobody's there. So we get out because, it's a dangerous environment. They fueled the tank, so nobody's allowed within 3.5 miles of the pad. So we get there. It's just us. We get out of the bus, and we walk over, and we look at the space shuttle sitting on the pad, and that United States of America, U.S. flag down the side. That was the proudest moment of my professional career, by far. That space shuttle, like those F-18s and other airplanes I've flown, is bent metal, right? People have shaped it into that form. Technology is what puts it there, and it's people that vehicle represents. And that's why it was the proudest moment. It wasn't the fact that it was a space shuttle sitting there fueled, ready to go. It's that there were thousands of people across this nation had put their all and their passion into this launch that I was getting to fly on. And it was the second most humbling moment of my life. Just standing there looking at that, thinking of you guys that I didn't know faces, because that's why it's there. The most humbling moment of my life was right after main engine cutoff on that same mission, MECO, and I'm in space. And the solid rocket motors are gone, long since gone, but we are separated from the external tank, and the reaction control system jets right at my feet, right in the nose of the aircraft are firing, bang, bang, 870 pounds of thrust to keep the attitude of the shuttle where we want it. And these explosions are taking place right at my feet. These orange blasts are going up, and water vapor has separated when the external tank is separated, and there's thousands of crystals of ice. The water has turned into ice because it's kind of cold in space. And there's thousands of diamonds getting illuminated by the sun that's setting behind us because we're orbiting away from the sun, the sunset. And these orange blasts and diamonds everywhere, and I'm feeling the weightlessness. That was the most humbling moment of my life. Because here I was, Barry Wilmore, old country boy from Tennessee, getting to experience this. And like I said, it's on the backs of all of you folks that enables these systems to take place. So I personally say thank you. I'm honored to be here, like I said. I'm sorry for you y'all guys, it was me. But I am honored to be here because of what our nation's human spaceflight program means to our nation. I mean, you guys were looking at cell phones and using cell phones, you know that. Those are based on some NASA technology, and we keep, the more, we don't even know what we don't know, right, as we go forward. I want to share a couple other things. You know, I got this brace on my leg. People have asked me what happened. I'm not sure what happened, but let me try to give you a visual of what I think started it. Kyle, right? Here, Kyle. Those of you in the back, if you have to stand up, feel free. Lay on your back right here on the floor. Now pretend like you're sitting in a chair. Yep, put your feet up, bend your knees, so you're sitting in a chair, right? Laying on your back. This is in a space shuttle. You're laying on your back. You've got actually a pad right here that Kyle doesn't have right now, holding your legs up, and it's fairly comfortable. Don't move, Kyle. It's fairly comfortable. So, because it's a fairly large cockpit in the space shuttle. But in a Soyuz, I flew to the space station on a Soyuz after, a couple of years after I flew the shuttle. And the Soyuz is a very small vehicle. It's a very small capsule. And it's small because the Russians are smart. Thermal protection is heavy. That's what allows you to return the atmosphere, right? And because it's a lot of heat buildup. So the smaller you can make your thermal protection, the lighter the vehicle is, the smaller your launch vehicle is. It saves money. So they got this extra habitable volume. Don't move, Kyle. They got this extra habitable volume on the top. So that doesn't return. The only thing that returns to Earth is that little, we call it the gumdrop. So it's very small, very, very, very tight or small radius. So the inner diameter of a Soyuz capsule is only about 7 feet. And that has parachutes are all, comes into the inner diameter, survival gear in case you land in the desert or in the snow or on a mountainside or whatever, all this survival gear. So it's very small. So if you were like this in the Soyuz capsule, your feet would be outside the capsule. Okay? So you couldn't even, they can't have seats like this in a Soyuz. So what the Russians do is they have basically you're laying in a bucket. Okay? And your feet are like this. Don't move. Because the outside of my foot was against the bulkhead because, like I said, it's only a 7-foot inner diameter. So you're in this position for hours during sims, because we're going to Russia and train, and you're doing simulations, so you're in the capsule hours at a time in this position. On launch day, you're in this position for about 4 hours. When you return from the space station, you're in this position. Don't move, keep it. Keep your head up right there, just like that. On the planet, I can't hardly bend over and touch my toes. I've always been that way. So I had to push myself in this position to fit in the Soyuz because I'm just naturally, for some reason, tight. And I think that's what started the tear in my cartilage back when I was training.
Did they use rubber hammers on you?
Yeah, exactly. Rubber and many other things. Kyle, you've been a tramp. Thank you, sir. So anyway, that's what I think happened to this. But the opportunity to have these experiences and do these things, like I said, are because of people like yourself. How many of y'all know what this is? Y'all know what this is? What is it? EMU, Extravehicular Mobility Unit Battery, EMU. So that's the spacewalking suit. So as a shuttle pilot, we did not get to train to do spacewalks because throughout the shuttle program, the 30 years, we had the special skill to pilot, upfleeted 2 commanders. We had that special skill of landing the shuttle, right? So spacewalks are kind of risky. So they didn't allow us to go outside and do those spacewalks because we had, what if something happened to us? You know, how are you going to land? Because we had that special training. So when the shuttle era ended in 2011, that opened it up to everybody. And when I went into the space station flow for the 6 months on space station, of course I did spacewalk training and did all that. So I'm actually the first shuttle pilot in this recent era to do spacewalks. And I got to do 4 when I was up on station. And I can tell you, a space, you know, the EMU, the Extravehicular Mobility Unit, the suit itself, is really a one-man space capsule shaped like a person. Because it's all self-contained, you know, the system's inside, and you know what powers it? This guy right here. If this guy don't work, that spacesuit don't work. And I really like the fact that this works. Because you're in a vacuum of space. There's not a single hour. I have over almost 26 hours of time outside the station on those 4 spacewalks. There's not a single hour that would go by that I would not go, I didn't say it out loud, but I think, I cannot believe we do this. We send little pink bodies in this one-man space capsule out in the vacuum space to work. I cannot believe we do this. And you want to know what the most comforting feeling was? This battery powers the fan pump separator. It's what circulates the air, circulates the cooling water that circulates through this suit we have on to keep our temperature regulated. And there's always, never stops, a super high-pitched electrical. We do that for like 6 hours. Do you think that would get irritating after 6 hours? No, because you hear it, you know it's working, you know the system's working. So that's something you know think about. It's always there, and it's there because your battery's working. I love you guys. I love you. My family loves you guys, and I love your products. I'm excited that one day we're going to have footage that does not include actors and cartoons like we saw earlier of a space launch system launching. Hopefully, I'll be inside. People say, are you going to fly? And I say, yes, I'm going to fly. Me, my Celebratory, and my Geritol, we're all going together. Yes, sir. So I don't know what the future holds. I'm still an active astronaut. I do retire from the Navy 1 December, 27 days from now. But fortunate, if NASA will keep me, I can keep doing the same exact job, no difference in anything. I just get paid a different way. So I'm fortunate that right now NASA says they'll keep me. So I don't know what the future holds for me personally. You know, it doesn't matter for me personally. It's about our nation and we're a spacefaring nation and what we can do and what we are doing to keep going further and further beyond. Because, like I said earlier, we don't even know what we don't know. And the only way to realize those things is to keep pressing out. And you guys are the ones that are making it possible. So I applaud you and I thank you. Turn that light out, because I do have a video. It is from the past. It's like 4 minutes. Shows a couple of things from this last mission where I was on space station for 6 months. So it's going to show the Soyuz launch, and it's going to show some of the spacewalk stuff. It's going to show reentry. Had a GoPro camera. I had a window right next to my head on entry. So there's some footage of us re-entering the atmosphere. You know, it's not many jobs you return from work in. It's 17,000 miles an hour inside of a 3,000 degree fireball. But this is one of them. So there's going to be some of that inside the fireball. You'll see that out the window. You'll see some aurora, picture from the southern aurora, and some other things. I think you'll enjoy it. So hopefully the sound works on this too. Turn up the volume. Also, maybe if you go full screen. Down the bottom left. To the right, 2 more. There you go.
Yeah.
No.
found it.
Hey, been working on it. I don't know. Oh, that's gonna hurt.
You increase the sound.
Better turn it down.
That's gonna hurt.
Why don't you mute it and then unmute it? Try that. On the bar. Oh well.
Well, I work on the volume.
Just think about loud noises right now. So this is rendezvousing from the Soyuz, rendezvousing the space station. From the station, as the Soyuz is rendezvousing.
And the remote for the sound bar.
Oh, that's yeah, but it was on a second ago. There you go. Thank you.
You want to start again?
No. Now River Valley at night, full moon. Well, most of our video was shot. seats actually cock up in the Soyuz because they're on shock absorbers, and that was a GoPro footage as well. So it's a 180-degree field of view, so it looks big, right? It looks pretty big. Trust me, it is not. You are shoulder to shoulder, you know, about like these three gentlemen are here, and it is way snug. And then you saw kind of a bang, bang, kind of two hits. When the Soyuz is about 10 feet off the ground, these soft landing jets fire, and you're coming down about 27 feet per second under the parachute, and that slows you down between 9 and 15 feet.
Your job was hard to follow. Go for it.
Good to see you, Captain. Thank you very much. I'm going to show my video of the United States Senate in action. No, you don't think that was exciting? Well, what can I say? Where did Kyle go? Kyle, why don't you buy maybe I can sell. very, very inspiring. You know, I don't know, can remember the very earliest times of our space program. You've probably seen videos of them when on those launch pads, those rockets didn't take off so well, right? You remember those? And we were in a space race with the Russians. Seems kind of almost unbelievable now that our technology literally time after time would explode on the launch pad to the great embarrassment of our country. Remember, everything that happens in this country is out there. The Russians had their own disasters, but they did them in places where nobody knew. And so this kind of technological achievement is all the more astonishing and inspiring to all of us who remember the early failures. And of course, the continuing danger. You know, we can laugh about it, joke about it, but Captain Wilmore was up there in space, and still to this day, many times as I've seen those spacewalks, I still sort of tense up when I see somebody go out into space where none of us were ever supposed to be. None of us were ever supposed to be in that environment. Man is defying nature. It's almost the ultimate hubris for us to be out there. And when he says this battery enables me to do it, that kind of technological achievement is beyond belief. So I'm here to say thank you for the great work you do with BST, not only because it makes possible enormous adventure and exploration that Captain Wilmore and NASA and we as a nation do and continue to do. Because as much as we were not meant to be out there, it is our nature and ultimately our mission as people placed on this earth to continue that voyage of discovery. That has been America's mission since Thomas Jefferson literally said exploratory adventures define a sea route to the Pacific Ocean. Clearly unexisted, but he commissioned one to be done. And they never discovered the route, but they discovered all kinds of new plants, new wildlife, new peoples, Native Americans. And that has always been what America has been about. And I'll just finish on this note. The batteries produced right here made possible not only the lost space, but the rockets that lift those vehicles there and will make possible Orion voyages of discovery. So these kinds of batteries may not seem as glamorous or beautiful. You know, you can't sort of look at this and say, wow, that's beautiful. But all the beauty that you saw in that video would be impossible without these mundane-looking devices. And I think we can be very proud that we're here in Connecticut, that we produce these devices here in Connecticut. I come from another part of our state, the southwest area. Courtney, my great colleague, sometimes jokes about how Eastern Connecticut is ignored, and we owe it more respect to give it, in part because of the great work that's done here on Aerospace and on submarines. Joe and I were at the commissioning of the USS Illinois this past weekend, and I use the phrase technological marvel to describe the Virginia class submarine, the fast attack submarines that we're producing at the rate of 2 a year. They are truly a technological marvel. They go in places bottom of the sea, down to the feet under, and wasn't supposed to go there. But we are producing here in Connecticut parts and components for the Virginia class. We're producing parts and components for the most advanced aerospace vehicles in the world. And I think America owes you a great debt of gratitude. Every one of you doing work here, I'm so proud to be here and excited to share this real celebration, because it's a celebration of the great work that every single one of you do. Every single one. So thank you so much for having me today.
You all heard the bell that tells us that we are running a little bit late. One more item on the agenda. I want to take this time now to recognize Kevin Hopwood. Kevin, please stand up. His company, Ensign Bigford, makes those devices that separate out the components on that rocket system that you saw, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You can follow everybody. Thank you. Unannounced. Just like to say a quick word, actually. We're a little company on the other side of Connecticut, Simsbury, and the vehicle is designed to take all this explosive stuff into space, and that's what we do. So we have all the bolts and separation systems that separate the capsule. Anything you saw being ignited there, that was us. We do all that sort of stuff. So very, very proud heritage. 1836, the company's been around since. So I'd love to have you there one day. Everybody. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate the time and appreciate you being invited me to come here.
There's one item on this wrap-up that was planned, there's one unplanned, and I'm going to take the opportunity. Tom, please stand up. This man and his co-founders founded this company that made this possible. Thank you. I know I'm surprising you.
Yeah, he certainly is. I'm very proud to be invited here with all of you. Thank you for selecting a little company to do work for you. Our people will not let you down. Everything they do is perfect. There's no I expect that.
I think he deserves a standing ovation.
No.
We're going to invite representatives of our manufacturing, engineering, and business development team to come up here. So Pat, Yoshi, Tom, Lynn, and Zoe. Come on up.
They will see you.
So, I'm winging this, so this might be a little rough. But first of all, just by way of introduction, I've been here before, but it's been a while. Until recently, I was vice president of NASA programs for Orbital ATK. I'm in the middle of retirement, transitioning. So this was an opportunity to come with my friend Butch. And I'll see you guys once again. I do want to, I've been with the shuttle program, the Ares program, and now the SLS program for a long time. And I'll echo what you said. You guys have always been there for us. There was no doubt when we transitioned where we were going to go. You've always done well for us. You've kept my friend Butch alive, a lot of my other friends into space. And this is a fun visit. That's why I wanted to come up here. We really appreciate it. The enthusiasm that you folks always show. You love what you're doing. That's what we do. This is so much fun to come here. So thank you for allowing us to come again. To the senator and the congressman and the staffs, thank you for your support. You know, that's what's keeping us going. This is important work to us and to the country. Thank you so much. We have this small little model like to leave with you so you remember who we are. This was at my office Monday. So please, you know, along with your other
School project, Chris?
There's some of those in my office as well, we should say, because that's a neat little 3D printed
This is passive now.
I'm gonna find a place for it, I guess.
All right, so we're going to adjourn for lunch now. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for the media being here. And Congressman Courtney, don't know how much time you have, but we'll let you pick the time you want.
When you leave, bring your chairs with you.
We have some chairs downstairs.
And spread them out on the tables and along the outside, wherever you can find a place.
Relax for 45 minutes. Yeah.
Look at that, I almost grabbed that.
Thank you for handing